so interesting to hear you say that, because like that's actually something I've been legit struggling with.
Really?
So the past 2 years, I've made 17 games, and my whole philosophy was like quantity over quality. And
Yeah.
finally, after doing all that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to this project that I started a couple years ago when I was still working in my marketing company. That I went through this really rough breakup, and like
Yeah.
it started this project where I called it philophobia, the fear of love, and it was basically you're in literal hell where love is literal hell, and all of the enemies are hearts,
Oh,
right?
that is so true.
It's it was such a personal project, and there's so much of me into it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started working, it was supposed to launch last Valentine's Day, and I had to delay it for an entire year just because the first thing I did naturally as a game developer is just redo everything and completely do it 10 times bigger.
Of course.
Because that's what we do. Like we can't just finish a game. We have to make it 10 times better.
I'm in that right now, actually.
But all of those 17 games I didn't have an issue with, right? I would do them on live streams. We'd have fun with our audience. We'd build, we'd push them out, see how they do. We'd get everybody feedback. It'd be a giant, cool, collaborative process. Never once did it cross my mind that the games might fail, because I never intended the games to do anything, right?
Yep.
It was just like,
Yep.
I want to make video games, and I'm going to do it with a bunch of people on the internet that also want to make video games, and then we can all play each other's games. And we did that, and it was great. But
yeah.
it's like this project, because it came out of like my soul, because it came out of like such a personal thing, because I feel like so much of me is in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think in a way my identity is being tied to it. And for me, like, I'm not afraid of the financial failure of the launch. I don't give a shit if I sell games. Like I feel like my calling in life really is more akin to my YouTube channel than actually be like a game developer. Like, yes, I love making games, but I also love teaching and helping people.
I think I lost you.
What was that?
I think I lost you there. Say that last sentence.
I was saying, like, I feel like my calling in life is more akin to my YouTube channel than actually full game developer route. Like, I love teaching. I love sharing. I love improving myself and other people around me. So I'm all about that. But, like, it scares me that the game might not be good.
Yeah.
Because this is the first game that I feel like I've poured myself into. And then on top of that, I have this whole YouTube channel where I teach stuff about game development all the time. How can a dude that teaches game development make a game that's not good?
Well, I don't think anyone would look at that as, like, I think you're the only person, and I would understand where you're coming from, but I don't think your subs would ever think that, because
No, but that's what makes it worse for me.
Because
when I ask them what do they think, they say, "Oh, it's great, Tim," and I'm like, "No, fuck you. You watch my videos."
Let's say your subs were like, "Okay, this game is bad." I don't think they care. It's the same reason why a coach can't play as quarterback. It's because he's much better at leading a team, or in your case, I don't know whether your games are good or not. I have not played your games, but let's say your fear is realized. It doesn't matter, because there are people who can coach and lead, even if they can't do it themselves. And the team doesn't care whether the coach can throw a Hail Mary pass, because I assure you most coaches probably cannot. So I think that it doesn't really matter whether or not. And in my case as well, I've thought about that too, because I've made some serious mistakes with my games, but I just don't care. Like I know what I'm passionate about, and I know that I have really good things to say. And like I've learned from your channel, I've learned a lot from your channel and applied it to my games. So I don't care whether you are pumping out quality games. I bet you can. I'm sure you are. But I'm just learning, dude. Yeah, like back to what you were saying about how you're like how this game is received might affect how you perceive yourself. What I'm learning is I love history. So if you look at history, artists are never perceived as quality until they die.
Yes, lesson learned. Learned. I gotta go die.
Yeah, and alternatively, what you do see is artists that are really popular and then die. Their work becomes irrelevant. So my point is that
I agree with that.
Good work, it's almost so abstract the term good work is so abstract that you almost have to just throw it out altogether, because we don't really even know what's good and what's not.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it was just interesting to hear you say that from a past tense and me saying it from a current tense.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I was just thinking about Majora's Mask, actually. Have you played Majora's Mask?
I have not.
Okay, that game was received terribly. It was the sequel to Ocarina. Well, I guess it's kind of a sequel to Ocarina of Time, and it was received terribly. It was horrible, and people thought it was just a garbage game, and at least that was what I remember. And now looking back, it's like aged like a fine wine.
Yeah.
It's got this huge cult following, and so the point there is, I believe in Pinstripe. I believe it's a great game, and it's still bringing in residual income, and it was successful in that, Time Magazine loved it, Washington Post loved it, and it has a really good user score right now on Steam. I think it's 9 out of 10. But
You're such a marketer, dude.
but it didn't perform like I wanted it to. And I can't sit here and say it didn't perform how I wanted it to, therefore that is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
Its performance does not equate to its quality. And the same is true, like if you watch movies like It's a Wonderful Life or something, the whole point of that movie is you don't know your value. The last person to know their value is the person themselves. The people who know their value
Totally.
are the people who listen to their friends and their family and say, okay, this is who you are. So if we're like listening to what our game is telling us and how good our game is, and even what people are saying about our game, and then having that reflect on us, that's just not an appropriate way to look at yourself.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Every time I've done something in life that I feel is worth, like, notable, it's always been from that place of, like, let's just do it, and if it doesn't go well, oh well. Let's just like make it happen. And some of the craziest experiences in my life, like, I never once thought I would build a marketing company. That was just the result of me seizing opportunities, left and right.
Yeah.
Same thing with like some of the games that I've made. Like, seriously, there's been times where I've gotten on stream, had no idea what we're going to create. 2 days later, and like I've made a game with the entire stream, just using a bunch of ideas. Like, we made a game that I took. Like, it started out as this Prison Break game, and then someone suggested we put gnomes in it, so we put gnomes in it, and then someone else was like, hey, I have this heavy metal track we can use, so then it ended up with gnomes and heavy metal, and then I was like, okay, well, let's just shoot plants.
Yeah.
And then so it's gnomes shooting plants to heavy metal, and then there's this old guy that flicks you off, and it's like, that you have to have that, like, courage and that confidence to do stuff like that, because if you're constantly wondering, like, oh, will people like this? What will people say? Like, will this work? Will this be like it just destroys your brain and it stops everything from working.
It's what you just described, was that you're being playful with your development of your game.
Yeah.
And playfulness inherently includes courage. Like, that's what it comes back to our discussion about kids.
Yeah.
Kids have such an easy time being playful because they're courageous that they're not going to get hurt, and that they're not going to embarrass themselves in front of their friends. So they're just not afraid. And I think that's so, if you're going to make a damn game, you better be playful. Otherwise, it's going to be a boring game. You got to know how to play while you're making your game. And so I think that's especially important, to just be playful. And what I want my subs to know is that if you're making a game that you're not passionate about, good luck being playful and good luck making a good game. Because if you're going to be an indie game developer, you have to learn that it's going to take you years before this game is done. If you're going to be committed, it's like a marriage, right? If you're going to be committed to this, for me, if I'm going to be committed to my wife, I better like her. I hope that I like her. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful. And so the same is true with your game. I see so many people that are like, I want to make a game about this, and I'm like, are you passionate about that? And they're like, no, but it's what I'm good at. Like,
same thing in startups, dude.
Yeah.
I see all the time. Like, I got this idea for this app about this Uber for lawnmower people. And I'm like, yeah, but do you like lawn care?
Yeah.
Or do you know stuff about technology?
Yeah.
Like, do something that you love. I agree.
Right.
It gives you that energy that you don't get otherwise. Like, my game Philophobia, it's 3.5 years going on now. And
wow. I'm so sorry.
A struggle.
because I know how you feel.
As much of a struggle it is, like it is so like core to like my being that like
Yeah.
it has kept me going in all this time. Like
Yeah.
it's you need that passion. I don't think passion is unlimited motivation. Don't make that mistake. Don't think that just because you're passionate, like you're never gonna stop wanting to work on it.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate yourself for
Yeah.
your project at some point.
Yeah. Well,
But,
I mean,
like you gotta do that. You gotta move past the fear too. Like so many people tell me now, it's bizarre. They'll say things like, Tim, like, I don't know if you'll know what this is like, but I'm really scared to do my stuff, or and I'm like, no, dude, like, of course I know what that's like. I have
Yeah.
the same
Oh, yeah.
fear, but like I've just been able to push past it